just to show this toilet wax seal. This wax was on the perimeter like that, and just as you can see over here, barely any on there, and you can see the damage in the wood here around there. It's going to show the wood damage here. This stuff is pretty flimsy around the toilet flange where it was leaking. I'm not sure if it's leaking off of this stem or if it was leaking around the seal. This toilet seal here, the wax seal. So I'm just going to be looking for that. Just wanted to show the damage to the wood here. Hopefully the subfloor is okay. See, it comes out real easy. And just to show how weak it is, like that, you can take it apart with your fingers. It's crumbly. So that's where the weakness was. I'll check the subfloor out in a minute here. So I just want to show what the floor looks like. This stuff here is pretty mushy, and it's mushy over here too. It's pretty solid there. So just to get a bird's eye view, if I could try and do that. Hard to do. So this area that's solid right there. But as you move down there, it gets more mushy. You can hear by the sound of it, and look at that. It sounds good over there and good over here. So portions of the subfloor should be removed. And just for my own reference, that flange is the thickness of the hardwood floor, which looks like 3/4 inch. So I tore up this 3/4 inch OSB, and below it is vinyl tile. Looks like, see right here, a piece broke off. So I'm thinking the floor is probably going to be solid down there. So here's my plan. Instead of ripping the whole floor up of this 3/4 inch plywood that's on the top, I'm just going to take out 1/4 of the room over by the toilet, and then I'll check the floor and see what it looks like. But there's looks like plenty of meat to hold up me putting in a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and then it'll be even with this other old 3/4 inch plywood, which is in good shape. In this video, I just want to show the thickness of the floor below. It looks like at least 2.5 inches of plywood there. Let's see if I can get some light on this situation. There. So there's plenty of floor beneath this. It was real gruesome getting this part clean. It was like almost like shingles, tarred shingles on there, but shaped like VC tile, vinyl tile, and then vinyl tile was on top of that. And so yeah, getting the asphalt type of tarred on tile off was quite a job. You can see it's kind of tar surface there. Looks like an old hardwood floor. So anyways, you got that thickness that I gotta make up to match the rest of the floor. I just tore out the plywood that was weak and we'll just put new plywood in there. I've got 3/4 inch OSB and some underlay board, which is about 1/8 inch thick. Just to show this toilet wax seal. This wax was on the perimeter like that. And just as you can see over here, barely any on there. And you can see the damage in the wood here around there. It's going to show the wood damage here. Stuff is pretty flimsy around the toilet flange where it was leaking. I'm not sure if it's leaking off of this stem or if it was leaking around the seal. This toilet seal here, wax seal. So I'm just going to be looking for that. Just wanted to show the damage to the wood here. Hopefully the subfloor is okay. See, it comes out real easy. And just to show how weak it is, like that's, you can take it apart with your fingers. It's crumbly. So that's where the weakness was. I'll check the subfloor out in a minute here. So I just want to show what the floor looks like. This stuff here is pretty mushy, and it's mushy over here too. It's pretty solid there. So just to get a bird's eye view, if I could try and do that, hard to do. So this area that's solid right there, but as you move down there, it gets more mushy. You can hear by the sound of it, and look at that. It sounds good over there and good over here. So portions of the subfloor should be removed. And just for my own reference, that flange is the thickness of the hardwood floor, which looks like 3/4 inch. This video is just to show what's going on here. Let's see if I can find a light. Anyhow, so here's the subfloor repair job. I had to scrape this down underneath. It was a real pain getting all that stuff level, and to make it fit perfectly, I had to put a few little skinny shims in there along the whole thing. So I got a 3/4 inch OSB tongue and groove. There's the nameplate on it. And it's a 1/4 inch underlayment, not 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch also. So I'm gonna glue that and then screw it all down. got, as far as glue goes, some leftover construction glue here. PL Premium. And then if I need some more, there's another leftover guy here. PL LePage Max. So I'll screw it down and the edges should be even when we're done. Just to show here what I did, I bought a assortment of screws. I brought an assortment of screws in. Just a bunch of different screws, it's the way I do it. And so I tried these ones first, which is this batch, 1.5 inch. They got torque bits on them. Same thing as these 2.5 inchers torque bits. It's a fatter screw. I don't go by numbers. I guess it's a number 10. I just say fatter screw. So I tried out the skinnier ones first, and the couple on this corner seemed to suck it in, but because the floor over here around this plumbing drain is about 2.5 inches thick, I knew I had plenty of room to fit in these 2.5 inch screws, although I'm only going through 3.25 inch OSB and an 1/8 inch baseboard, underlayment board. So anyways, by trying out the screws, some of these guys didn't hold. These ones all held solid. I had to put it in low gear to get them in, even with my little orange rigid. So I got them spaced out there, 4 in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows at least. So it's in there good and solid, and it's glued down. It ain't going nowhere. And once we get the Schluter Ditra membrane installed on top of some thin set, unmodified thin set, it's going to be a waterproof floor. I'm not going to seal the edges because it's not a shower, but the floor itself is going to be basically waterproof. So if water does get out of the toilet, it's going to seep over the edges, and that's where it's going to go. So that's the progress. Today is October the 5th, and it's noon hour. Time for me to skedaddle. Busy time of day for the restaurant. Okay, so the subfloor is done, except I'm going to put a 1/8 inch, it's a little bigger than 1/8 inch underlayment on top of this. But I'm just going to show quick what I did here. I got the screws on both sides in the old floor spaced out along here. That way the seam's not going to wobble. They're both tight. And I got that done like every foot pretty well, all along the edges. Over here did some more. And this new board I put down is glued. The reason I'm putting in a subfloor is this hardwood is 3/4 inch. So the tile that we got is just over 1/8 of an inch. I think it's like 3/16. And then my Ditra that I'm putting down, the underlay German product, will bring me up to around here. So if I put in this 1/8 inch underlayment, I should be almost close to where I want to be. Plus the underlay is gonna even out perfectly the seam. So I'm gonna staple that down every 2 inches on the seams, and every 6 or 8 inches throughout the rest of it. So here's a video of the final underlayment plywood I'm putting down. It's I think it's 5 millimeters, yeah. So it's about 1/8 of an inch. So there's 2 pieces, one there and a big one there. The good thing about having a big one here is there's a seam going right along here, and then over there for the plywood that was moisture damage that I replaced. So that seam is now covered up and it will not go through the tile at all, especially after we get the Schluter Ditra membrane installed. And then I got a little piece over here at the door. Let's show that. And I've got some clearance on the edges for the underlayment to be able to have some room to breathe, move on both sides. And the ends, this one here's got some room. Some spots I'm gonna open it up a little bit with my edger. This end here, I've got lots of breathing room on that part. But over here, I'm gonna edge that one open a bit. So that's showing the progress. Oh yeah, what I also want to show is where I'm nailing it, stapling it. It's with these 18 gauge 1 inch 1/4 inch it's right here, it's a 1/4 inch across on these guys. So narrow crown staples, it's a 1/4 inch crown on them. And so the videos I was watching on YouTube, they're talking about nailing it every 2 inches on the edges. And then inside it was, I think it was 6 inches apart. So I watched some videos on how to do that. I don't think you really need this smooth underlayment for tile. I could have done it with the other stuff, but like I said, this is filling up the gap, because the 3/4 inch plywood that or hardwood that we took out, it's gonna be, you know, we gotta catch up to that gap somehow. I bought some quarter round to take up whatever in the end is not, if it's too low and you still see a hole in there, we can use quarter round to cover it up. It's a short video update of the progress here, Saturday morning. I think it's October the 7th. So these self-leveling wedges are excellent. I think they're better than the screw ones logically because they're faster. And you just kick them off like that. So I set these tiles yesterday, and I was done around 11. And that's the last one that was set over there. So now I'm just gonna cut in the perimeter today. So just to do a quick update here, I'm thinking of pasting or joining all the videos I'm shooting and putting them into one video. So what I did on YouTube after watching a bunch of guys, didn't get to watch as much as I wanted to, but anyhow, one trick I learned was to do the center of the job first, and then all your cut pieces the next day. So today I cut all the pieces. As you can see, they're all ready to go there. These ones here I just cut on a wet saw I bought at Home Depot, 120 bucks, Ryobi. It took me almost a couple hours just to cut the perimeter for this 5x8 bathroom. So the pricing that I used was on homewise.com, and you plug in the zip code and you put in the square feet, and you come up with a price. The price that they give is a range. I picked the bottom range because I'm not a specialist in this, the bottom of the range. So if they said 200 to 300, I would have charged 200. So whatever the number was. HomeWise is an excellent place to go to figure out what kind of price you should charge as a contractor or as a customer to pay. It's an amazing online utility. So yeah, anyways, that's what I'm doing now, is I'm gonna put in these large format tiles with large format tile thin set, and it uses an 1.5-inch trowel, which is pretty deep, but pardon me, 1/2-inch trowel. And so what I do is if you go on YouTube, you see how to work with this Ditra. It's a Schluter Ditra, the orange stuff there. You fill in these little squares by working the grout or the thin set in, just back and forth until you see it's in there. Because sometimes just putting a blob on there, it doesn't actually sit right in. You got to work it in. So you get a smooth layer of that, and then you put some more on, and you do your trowel to get that 1/2-inch pattern in there. So since it's so tight here, what I'll probably do is go like this when I get to that stage of it, and then I back butter the tiles. And when you back butter, all you do is you just use your flat edge of the trowel, put some mud on there or some thin set, just scrape it on, make sure it's covering the whole back of the trowel. You don't put the 1/2-inch groove on this side, you just do that on the floor. So I didn't put self-leveling standoffs on the edge. That's these guys here. So I'm not going to be able to get them in there unless I was to take my Dremel tool and put a little disc on it, and I'm not going to waste my time doing that. And I don't think the guys who do tile would normally use this self-leveling tile leveling clip system there. Anyway, it works really good. I highly recommend it, and it's primarily essential for in the main field. On the perimeter now, I can easily just put the tile to its proper level. I only have to be concerned with one side to match up on the perimeter. So right here, I just have to match my level of the tile I cut for that, which is one of these guys on the inside. I don't have to worry about the outside part of it. So there's an update on the project. It takes a lot of time to do it right. I didn't worry about my hourly rate. I'm almost working for free, I think, but I just want to make sure I do it right, because you don't want to have to come back and fix stuff, that kind of thing. You do a good job, that's the main thing. How you get, of course, efficiency is good too, but this customer here I was working for was really outstanding in terms of that, understanding and patient. So it's always good to find good customers that are workable. All right, finally done the laying in the tile with thin set. I did the whole perimeter. I think it's about 5 o'clock Saturday. Restaurant's booming busy, but I stayed inside my cubicle mostly, not disturbing the public. And so I'll put a transition piece on there later. I'm ready to rest. So just started the grout here, did about 1/3 of it, and I put 2 quarts of water in my mix. Went a little bit ahead of myself. Because this poly blend grout, sanded grout, is good for 1/8 to 1/2-inch grout lines. The sand supports it if it's over 1/8 of an inch. Under 1/8 of an inch, they have non-sanded grout. So anyways, on the instructions there, it talks about down here how much square footage it covers. I think for the 12-inch by 24-inch tile is 200 and some square feet. Anyways, the Home Depot guy, he read it out as 30 square feet, so I got 2 bags of this. Anyways, I should have read it a little more carefully before I mixed it. I mixed 2/3 of the bag with my 2 quarts of water. So it's fun putting this charcoal in, trying to get the white tile clean after you do that, but as you can see, after 1/3 of the floor, how black the water is. That was clean water, about 1/3 of the pail. So we're supposed to let that cure according to the manufacturer 16 hours. So it says on the bag is you mix it for, you mix it till you get the paste thickness you want. And then you let it sit for 5 minutes and you mix it again. Don't put any water in that time, and then use it. And then you gotta scrape it off the floor or get the remainder off the floor within 30 minutes. So I gotta get to work here. I find that when you spread the grout, even though this place has lighting, it's really good to have your own backup lighting, to have lots of light on the job you're working on. And sometimes you got to think about what kind of lighting is going to be on the subject area you're working on too. It's going to be bright light, it's going to be shadow light. If you do the work under brighter light, you can be more particular and careful with the project. And when you get older like me, it's good to have more light. So when I put the grout in, it's just pretty common sense. It's sandy mud and you want to squish it in there, right? So what I do is I just take a blob out. And this is just a little bit I got here, and just do that and fill in the crack. It's kind of common sense. But then I'll go along like this with the edge, and I'll push it in, because I'm pushing it in there, pushing down on the crack, because sometimes there's different variations of how the thin set hardened down there, and you want to fill all the voids. Logically, that makes sense to me. I'm not a veteran tile maker, but a tile installer, ceramic tile. But you gotta fill up the voids, and then it also helps doing it this way to even out the grout. And you gotta do it when it's a certain wetness. You'll feel that as you work with it. Because if you try to do this when it's hardened, it doesn't work. Just like playing in the mud when you're a kid. So that's good when you let your kids play in the mud. Another thing I did on this job that's important is, I think I already covered that, but I want to make sure, is to point it out again. The importance is to leave, like this whole floor here is a unit. It's cemented down, but I've left a 1/4 inch gap on each side and end of the perimeter for expansion and movement, to allow it to breathe, in other words. Because if it somehow has movement from whatever, say an earthquake, or expansion and contraction, I don't really see how that's gonna happen in this case. Sometimes you get freezing weather and the house doesn't, or the building doesn't have heat, that kind of stuff. It's rare. So if you allow for temperature to vary when temperature varies, things expand and contract. Moisture has an effect on that too. So anyways, I put along the whole edge. I won't be grouting, and I left that as a gap purposefully. I did that with the subfloor as well.